So we're finally having some very cool, almost chilly and gray and rainy autumn weather. And today is Monday, October 15th. It's Columbus Day. And I'll continue to call it Columbus Day because that's what officially it is. Columbus was a very brilliant, very adventurous explorer for Portugal who ended up going to Spain and doing some exploring for Spain back in the 1400s. And he was simply doing his job when he circumnavigated the globe, or was that Magellan? I think that was Magellan. But Columbus circumnavigated the globe back in the 1400s. And he accidentally came upon the Americas sometime in the 1490s and was doing his job when he came to land and started gathering species of animals and plants and getting to know the natives and things like that. He wasn't trying to hurt anybody. He was simply doing what he was supposed to do on behalf of the king and queen of Spain, Isabella and Ferdinand. So bashing Columbus these days for stuff that happened like 500 years ago is retarded, asinine, ignorant, and malignant. It's also intellectually backwards. If you understand how the world worked and still works, you will know that at any given moment, when people have a job to do, they'll just do their job, right? And if they end up hurting some people in the process, well, everybody does that, right? Attorneys who get paid to, prosecute criminals and put these criminals in jail sometimes end up accidentally prosecuting innocent people, right? But they don't probably intend to hurt those innocent people. They're just trying to do their job based on the most up-to-date information. And that's what Columbus was doing. He was doing his job based on the most up-to-date information in the 1490s. So 600 years later, whatever it is now, we don't have the right to judge the knowledge and information that people had back in the 1490s. We can't say that Columbus was a racist because he didn't know anything about race. The only race that he knew was the Spanish people and Portuguese people from which he came. That was the Europeans. Nobody else knew any other race because back then, there was no internet. There was no international jet travel. You were stuck in the same village that you were born in for the rest of your life. And if strangers arrived, they probably came from one or two villages over, right? You didn't know who lived 1,000 miles away or who lived on other continents. While there was a lot of trade and travel back in those days, it was not on the caliber that it is now. So there was no such thing as racism because the only race that most people were acquainted with was their own. And Columbus was only going by the information that he was provided by the king and queen of Spain in the 1490s. And when he came to the Americas, he didn't know anything about what was here. How could anybody possibly know anything about a continent that up until that point, no one knew existed? He was just exploring like all of us do. But these days, we tend to do it online, not in person, circumnavigating half of the planet in a little ship. People these days are pathetically retarded, don't understand how the world works now, and they certainly don't understand how the world worked 600 years ago when Columbus made the very brave and epic move to try to explore the world on behalf of the Spanish monarchy. Anyway, happy Columbus Day. I love the Native Americans. I respect them, but I think that they should have their own separate holiday that has nothing to do with Columbus because the Native Americans have nothing to do with Columbus. They were here before he arrived, right? They were simply here. They had nothing to do with Columbus. He had nothing to do with them until he showed up and then tried to figure out what was going on here. He found a completely new continent. What are you supposed to do with that when you don't have the internet, you didn't go to college, and nobody in the country where you came from has any idea of anything that goes on in the rest of the world? We do not have the right in today's fast-paced, extremely information-driven world to judge what people were doing and thinking 600 years ago. And to do that is to show absolute idiocy and intellectual inferiority. So happy Columbus Day, folks. I'm having a great day. I am taking a day off from having to do everything that I need to do. And I'm doing a little bit of cleaning and organizing, sending some emails. And there has been a beautiful vibe throughout this entire morning. It's kind of felt like a cool, gray, Halloween-y kind of morning and afternoon. And there's been some really beautiful autumnal atmospheres throughout this unit and throughout this, throughout my unit. Can't speak for the asswipe ghetto filth next door in 88, or the filth directly below in 76 who keeps making slamming and pounding noises beneath my bed whenever I happen to lie on it, or the piece of shit who's always smoking marijuana in the bathroom behind that wall. And it's definitely in that bathroom because there's never any smoke or fumes coming from the hallway. And the only walls that share any wall space with my kitchen area is the bathroom of 78, where the intense odors are constantly coming from. They're also not coming from below because I don't smell it anywhere over here. And if it was coming from below, it would be seeping up through the floor. But because the floor has a lot more dense and solid building materials in it than the two pieces of drywall separating my kitchen from the bathroom behind it, then the smoke is definitely coming through there and not from the floor. The floor is extremely dense and tightly packed with a lot of, again, very strong building materials through which smoke has a hard time penetrating. But the smoke certainly does penetrate drywall, especially when there's cracks in it and there's gaps, in the adjoining, whatever they're called, floorboards behind the sink and behind the stove. So there's some asswipe perving piece of shit who likes to access the permanently vacant premises of the bathroom of 78 behind this wall and just get really intrusive and disruptive by doxing their own physical presence in that bathroom and smoking a lot of marijuana that never comes from the hallway. I've been in and out of the hallway half a dozen times over the last hour, and there's no smoke or fumes coming from the hallway. Therefore, when my entire kitchen area and that corner right there fill up with marijuana smoke, it's coming from the perving, creeping, psycho scum piece of filth that the Greenville group is permitting to access the former piece of filth's living space behind this wall. That piece of filth is a psycho, and I'm not going to keep giving them credit by naming their name, but they're always in that bathroom because they're a mentally disturbed reject. Anyway, I am getting a lot done. I just sliced my thumb open. So I was doing some cleaning with cleaning products that are now killing my thumb. So I'm just going to take a break and do some intellectual work and draft a few legal documents for fun because I like to do that. It's my form of self-torture. And today's a great day to do it because it's kind of cold, gray, and rainy outside. And I love this weather. It's been a beautiful, very Halloween-y kind of day. Pretty silent, aside from the slamming and banging from the psycho scum directly below in 76 and 88, that perving, creeping asswipe filth who's got no life and should probably just do the planet and women a favor and stop compulsively masturbating and just go jump off a cliff. People who compulsively masturbate loudly so that everybody has to hear them have such mental and behavioral problems that they should do everybody a favor and just go jump off a cliff, really, because nobody needs to hear that or know about it or be exposed to it. And these asswipes are so pathetically narcissistic that they don't care who has to listen to their compulsive masturbating and who they're disturbing in the process, right? They're mentally disturbed nut jobs who can't stay in their own lane, and that's too bad for them. They're going to live the rest of their lives whacking off to an empty room with nobody and nothing else in it but their ugly selves. Sucks to be them. That's not going to be me, though. I have a life, and thankfully I have lots of stuff to do: financial obligations, career obligations, family and friend obligations. I have a ton of social events lined up for this week with my friends who I've known for many years, all of whom I've known for many years, and have strong social and socioeconomic ties too. These are people who are all like me, and we get along really great. And we do fun events at least a few times a month because, at our age, we don't need to hang out every day and do sleepovers and each other's makeup. We're not going to do that at 50, but we are going to attend a lot of high profile social events that are invite only. And we like to gather at these events and congregate and mingle with people who are like us. So we'll be doing that over the next few days, and I'm looking forward to it. Yay.